Hey, welcome back to MDL Crochet. This week's tips, tricks, and item makes is color change. Color change can change the depth of your project immensely. Color change is pretty simple. It may not look simple, but trust me, it is as simple as it can be. Now I'm going to show color change in 2 stitches, the simple stitch and the knit stitch, so that way it gives you a feel. I'm going to do several different types of color changes so you understand the different ways to do color changes and what way is good for you. But with all that being said, let's get to it. Alright, so we're going to do some color changing. I just did a simple chain of 20 and then did my foundation row. So we're going to do this in simple stitch first. I prefer to do color changes in simple stitch because they come out more crisper and cleaner. You may not. You may want to do it in the knit. You may want to do it in the reverse. You may want to do it however you want to do it. So let's say you're making a pattern or a grafcan and you want to know how to change color. So we're going to go ahead and pull up a few simple stitch loops in our main color. And we want to change color. Okay, so how are we going to change color? Well, you'll get your other color. And there's 2 ways you can feed this through. One way is just leaving it like this, going through your loop, and just pulling it up and pulling it through. I don't like it this way. Because if you continue doing your forward pass and you haven't done your return pass yet, well, it's not locked into place. And even when it gets locked into place, it's not tied off. So it can still work its way loose, just like this. So I don't personally like it that way. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and do my slip knot. Go through the loop, do your slip knot, push it down to the meaty part of your needle, tighten up your slip knot, and just pull it through. And then you tighten it up again a little bit more, and then bingo, you're done. So now we got our color change. But let's say we only needed the color change for, let's just say 3. So how are we going to, and then we got to go back to our main color. So how are we going to handle that? Well, there's a few ways we can handle this. The easiest way, which is less yarn coming in to the project, is just take the yarn you're not using, put it over the new yarn. And you'll see why I did that here in just a second. So we're going to go pull up, and now you see how that new color goes over and locks it into place so you can keep feeding it. And just do it again. And it locks it into place. And then we'll do one more time. And then you can drop, let's say the color that we added, drop it. And then continue back on your main color. And I'll show you how we handle the return pass for this. Alright, so we're getting close to the return pass, but we need to change colors. So how we're going to do this, when you have that one loop left on your hook, but the next loop you're going to go through is a color change, you just take your new color, the color change, and you're going to weave. And this is helping us bring this color back to here. And you're going to weave it, so that way it pinches it and brings it along with you. So pick up your new color, and you're going to use your new color as your yarn over pull through too. And then again, weave it around so it pinches yarn over, pull through 2. Same again. Twist it, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you twist it a certain way, you're never going to end up with the yarn twist. So what you can do here is drop the new color that you did. You can just drop it, yarn over, pull through these 2. Tighten this up a little bit, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And it won't show your color change. You can do that. That's one way to do color changing. And then if you want to increase your color change, we're going to move one more up to here. So you just take your yarn and bring it forward. Because when you're doing your forward pass, you're going to be locking that what you pulled in. So it's not that big of a deal. And that is the simple stitch. That is the simple stitch color change. And you would handle it all the same. So the next color change we're going to show you is I'm going to show you in the knit stitch. So alright, for the knit stitch, you're just going to do your knits like you normally would. And then when you get to your color change, you're going to do it how we handled it in the simple stitch. You're going to go through your hole as you're pulling up your knit and pull your yarn through. Again, you don't have to do the slip stitch that I'm doing, but I prefer the slip stitch because it's never failed me. In all my years of doing color changing, it's never failed me. And you'll handle the color changing as we did before. Lock it into place and you want to carry this one over so you can just bring the other yarn over it. You're weaving is what you're doing, and you're trying to keep your main color or the color you're not using that you're wanting to bring to an end to another spot. You're trying to keep it above the new color so that way the new color locks it into place, just like that. And I'll show you the back here in just a second. Let me so what you're trying to do is you're trying to weave the old color, the one you're not using, above the new color, because that will lock it into place. Can't grab it. And then with the knit stitch, that's what you're trying to do, and grab it and pull it. And that's what it's looking like on the back. You can see where we've done our knits, and you can see right above it, right there, that's our carryover. So this knit is holding our carryovers into place. Do it one more time. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take again, your main color, or let's just say this color that we did the main workup in, weave it over your added color. And when you go, like for the knit, when you're going through, you need to push it down even further so that way when you grab this, it grabs that. And then when you go into the next, you weave it up above, twist it above, and it locks it into place. You can see how the previous stitch is locking it into place for us. And that's what's going on. All of this is our carry through, and this is locking it into place for us. And then there's a different way to do a color change as well in the knit stitch, because the knit stitch tends to hide some stuff for you. Because of the nature of the knit stitch, because it brings both bars forward, it allows you to be able to hide a color change. So let's say you want to do a color change, but you want to do it at a row. Now there's a few ways we can handle that, and I'm going to show you those few ways. So let me finish this and get it all the way down to the end, and I'm going to show you how we're going to handle that. Actually, so let me go ahead and undo everything we've done, and I'm going to show you how we can do a return pass change in colors. That way we can start a change color at the beginning for knit stitch. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I'm pulling through. I did a couple of rows of knit stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and pull through until I have 2 left on my hook. And this is how we're going to do color change. Okay, this is one way we can do color change, and this color change works for every stitch. And instead of using our main color that we were using as our pull through, as our yarn over and pull through 2, we're going to use the new color as the yarn over and pull through 2, and that's it. And then you just tighten everything down a little bit, and then you just start working your knit stitches up in the new color. And then we'll do a few rows of this new color, and I'm going to show you a different way to do a color change. One way that I think, and it only works for the knit and a few other stitches like the alpine, because the way those stitches pull the post up to hide your return pass, it is so much easier to do it that way with the knit and those few other stitches. It doesn't really work well for the simple stitch, the method I'm going to show you, because the simple stitch doesn't hide your return pass. So I'm going to do a few rows of this new colored knit stitch, and I'm going to show you the next way to change colors. Alright, for this next change of color, it's done on the return pass. So I'm going to get a little bit down, and we're going to snip some yarns, because after you do your changing colors and you're not going to change back, or it's going to be a little bit before you change back, you can snip your yarns. And just remember to leave you decent tails so that way you can tie off and weave in. So we're going to get rid of this color because we don't want it no more. But we want to change at the very beginning. So we're going to bring in a new color. And how we're going to do it with this way. This way is a lot easier, in my opinion, to change color in the knit, because you change it in the return pass because of the way the knit is done. And you treat it as your yarn over and just pull through. I know we're showing right here, but just give me a minute and you'll see what I'm talking about. And we're at the end, and then we just start doing our new knit stitch in the new color, and just keep bringing them up. And we'll do a few rows just so you can see how this one's done. And then you can, these 2 lines of where we added and cut, you can actually kind of tie those off, so that way you don't get your gap. So I'm going to continue doing a few rows of this knit stitch. And again, this method only really works for the puffy stitches that bring both stitches forward, that cover the return pass, such as the knit, the alpine, and a few other puffy stitches. But it adds for a very smooth color transition. So let me pull up a few more rows and then we'll take a look. Alright, I'm pulling through the last ones now. And you can see that color change that we did does not show through. It does back here. It'd be right here, and it doesn't show through with the knit, which makes color changing in knit stitch so much easier. Now there is another way to color change, and that best method is in the simple stitch. So I'm going to undo what we've done, and then I'm going to pull up some simple stitches. Alright, so we got our row of simple stitches here. So I am going to want to change color, right? So I'm going to pull in this color and tighten it down, do what I do, and pull it through. But we're going to be using the bottom color again. So we'll pull up our loops in our new color. So we just completed our row with our new color, but we want to switch back to the previous color. So how we do that, you just bring the yarn back up and yarn over and pull through. That is it. Now this can work with multiple colors, but I think more than a row difference, you're going to have, you know, that excess string hanging through, and weaving that around so it's best to, if you're going to do it where you're doing multiple rows of different colors, you're going to want to snip and do the what I'm about to do here in just a moment, and I'll show you that. So as I said, with multiple lines coming in, things can get a little crazy, but let's say we want to add a third color to this. Okay, let's add a third color. And we do it, and we do it when we only have the 2 loops left on our hook, so that way the new color can be our yarn over and pull through, which starts our new row. And you just start pulling up your loops. I'm going to show you what I was talking about a minute ago about when you have multiple colors, that you're probably just going to want to, if you're doing more than 2 colors, you're going to want to snip and add your colors. And yes, that makes more tails and more to weave in, but it leaves less tangled mess on the edge. So let me pull these up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is what I was talking about. I'm about to change colors now. I want to go back to that yellow. So the yellow line is here. So I want to bring it up and go over and then start. But now you have this long carryover. That's what I was talking about, is that when you're doing multiples, you may want to go ahead and snip it so you don't have this cluster in the back, because this whatever color you're bringing up is you're going to have that all the way down your line on this edge. And yes, it'll be fine if you tighten it up, but you know, little fingers can get in there and get caught. So what I like to do is I like to leave a good tail when I'm doing more than 2 colors. If I'm doing 3 or more, I leave a tail and snip it. I can deal with ends and weaving in versus having my whole project come undone or having to get cut because a little finger got caught in it. But I hope you learned something today with color changing and how color changing really can change your projects in Tunisian. And as always, folks, if you can give me a like and subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. And leave me a comment. I will chit-chat with you. And as always, keep stitching.